Hey there! It's another Tuesday, which means it's time for another in real life video. This week, we are not doing another viewer submitted question because I'm sick and tired of them now. Because we just did a string of 3 of them. We'll take a little reprieve from there. Wherein here, I've got a bit of a topic that I've come up with myself. And that is quite simply, and this isn't really a call to action, right? But quite simply, the feature on YouTube that I would most like. I don't know, I figured this would be a fun little diversion, as it were, but this is something that I would love to have available on YouTube, and it's something that I've wanted for quite some time. It is not actually anything that would, well, I guess it would. It would benefit me on like a video production level, someone who produces them, someone who creates videos on that level. It would benefit me, especially my channel. But more so, I would want to make use of it as a viewer myself, right? And that being the number one YouTube feature that I've wanted for years now is to be able to subscribe to individual playlists, right? This, of course, if you've been a follower of this channel or any Let's Play channel for a long time, I think immediately you can see the use for such a thing, right? But hey, just to take, for instance, my own channel here as an example, rather than sort of potentially talking about someone else's in an unfavorable way. Our channel, of course, we have various slots for videos and stuff. Different types of role-playing games that we do usually on different days. Or including in real life videos now that come out pretty much every Tuesday, but not exclusively. For example, Mondays have always been Morrowind Mondays. Then on days that contain the letter T, a Tuesday, Thursday, or Saturday. People forget the Saturday, but there is a T in there. It doesn't start with a T, but it's got one in there. We have one slot of game, which is usually, historically, it has been a BGS game, right? So Starfield or Skyrim or Oblivion before it. Historically on the channel, that's been the case. And then on the other remaining days of the week that do not contain the letter T or are not Monday, that being Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday, we almost always, historically, we have done a CRPG, right? Which currently is Baldur's Gate 2, but in the past, we've done Pillars of Eternity, we've done Disco Elysium, we've done classic Fallout, and many more to come. But we have approached like a point in time in the channel where very much I notice, right? And this was true kind of, I think, from the early goings on, but I see it very much super clearly based on comments and whatnot. There's like a non-insignificant amount of folks who just like or want to watch one type of thing, right? Which completely understandable. Like I said, that's been the case for a long time. It wasn't until the Skyrim playthrough that there was really another playthrough on the channel that even rivaled Morrowind Mondays, right? Even when we were in the midst of sort of the peak popularity of the Oblivion playthrough, the Morrowind Mondays had always been the staple. Like I said, it was only Skyrim that really overshot it. But hey, for instance, there's folks who really only just want to see Morrowind Mondays every week, right? They never miss a week, whether or not they're a few days late or whatever. There's frequently folks who just comment on that. And like I said, it would be weird to have a problem with that, right? More so, not me saying that, oh, I have a problem with this. More so, I get it, right? I 100% get it. It would be amazing if, for instance, Morrowind Mondays or a new CRPG or Starfield or upcoming Fallout, stuff like that, or even, like I said, in real life videos, if you just want to see these, or you always want to see in real life videos and you're afraid of missing them, you could subscribe to the playlist, right? It is at the it is super duper good and encouraged that if you are a sort of playthrough channel, that you have a bunch of playlists set up and well organized, I think. Because the vast majority of your viewership is typically not from new videos. It's typically from folks going through your backlog, right? People watching stuff that you've already made because, hopefully in essence, it's all evergreen, right? I've even seen plenty of folks commenting directly on the fact that there's stuff that's just evergreen, and that's very much the goal, right? It's very much the goal that as time goes on, these sorts of old playthroughs, they still, despite being not recent, are still very much entertaining and worth watching, and there's something of value there, regardless of when you watch it, right? Such is the idea. That's sort of the plan behind it all. But it would be so fantastic if, as these videos are coming out, you could just subscribe to the playlist and have it hit your subscription box, right? Currently, as it stands, you can save playlists and whatnot. You could, but the issue that I have with saving playlists is it doesn't, whenever a new video gets published to that playlist, it doesn't hit your subscription feed. I don't even think it necessarily gets pushed to your homepage, but I don't know. Frankly, I don't really use the homepage. The subscription feed is where it's at. That's like definitely my most viewed because I want to see what I'm actually subscribed to. But even if you've saved the playlist, it doesn't get pushed to the subscription feed. And like I said, I'm not even sure that it necessarily will go to the home. You have to manually go to each playlist that you have saved. More so, like I said, I would love it if you could just sub to that playlist, to where if you are super duper into seeing, for instance, an in real life video, every time I put one up, you will see it get pushed to your sub feed. And you could even, for once, actually want to, press the notification bell if that's something that you really want to do, right? Like, for instance, in real life videos are infrequent. We don't do them very often. We do them once a week. If you want to know exactly when one goes up, you can ring the bell on that, and there you go. You'll always be aware, and you'll never miss one. Theoretically, if you want to, right? There are so many instances where, for myself personally, as a viewer, as someone who watches videos on YouTube, there are a lot of people who I subscribe to that, or even channels like less individuals and more so groups of people, organizations, if you will, who put out, like, for instance, smaller videos, right? They'll do like, oh, a new game has come out. Here's like an hour or two of me futzing around in the game, right? Just kind of checking it out, doing like a little preview, a little quick look or whatever, right? Sometimes I'm interested in that. But what I always want to see from sometimes these people is their regular podcast. I would love it if I could subscribe to their podcast and have it be like, oh, when you're watching the podcast, we'll just recommend one of these videos that we think that you'll like from them, right? From this same channel or whatever, right? We'll have it in the little sidebar or whatever, or at the end when you're done watching or listening to the podcast, we'll throw it up or something like that. I would love that. I would love that so much. And sort of the inversion of this, this is something that I've noticed as I've gotten into making videos myself, is I have had to unsubscribe from people that I was previously subscribed to. Notably, other people who do Let's Plays and playthroughs, right? A lot of CRPG or BGS focused sort of playthrough channels I've had to very much tread carefully with and sort of avoid out of fear of, like, with these games, a lot of the games I like to play on the channel are super huge, right? You can go about them in different ways. There's different, speeds and directions in which you can get to them. And of course, I'm not always playing them as soon as they come out. For instance, great example, Baldur's Gate 3. It is on our to-do list. We will 100%, of course, be playing Baldur's Gate 3 shortly after we finish and wrap up Baldur's Gate 2. But I want to avoid spoilers and stuff for Baldur's Gate 3. Thus, there's no shortage of channels that I've had to unsubscribe from that I enjoy the people who run them, but I've just unfollowed them because I am weary of potentially seeing like a thumbnail or a title that may spoil something significant, right? And that's not their fault or whatever. That's just me trying to be extra careful because, you know, I make videos as well, right? Which that in and of itself is kind of a special instance, right? Not everybody's going to fall in that category where they're fearful of getting spoiled. I would guess the other instance would be like, if for whatever reason, you know, like you don't have the money or you don't have the time to get this game that's out, someone is making videos on it, you don't want to get spoiled on it, and you know, like, this person, sometimes what their videos and stuff that they put out, I would consider it a bit of a spoiler. Other people, maybe not, right? But just to be on the safe side, I'll unsub for now and be wary, right? I feel like being able to subscribe to individual playlists would really help alleviate it. I don't know, maybe there's a part of it that I'm just not thinking of that would make it complicated, that would make like playlist subscriptions a problem. I'm not sure. Regardless, I'm hoping that because they've sort of, YouTube has sort of created this, or they're attempting to create and flesh out this podcast system. I don't know if you've noticed that there are now officially titled like podcast playlists and stuff, right? You can officially, by way of YouTube, brand something as a podcast rather than just put it up and be like, yeah, it's a podcast, right? You can officially in the back end say, this is a podcast, YouTube. Take note of that. I wonder if they will get into subscribing to playlists by virtue of the podcast situation sort of being built out, right? Why not extend that to other playlists? That would be super duper, like I said, it'd be super duper beneficial to someone like me who runs a channel like this. Like I said, there's plenty of folks who just want to see one type of game or one game specifically, right? And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, right? I do that, right? Like I said, I don't want to mention too much specific, right? Out of fear of, you know, I don't want anyone to think that they've, I don't know, screwed anything up or that I think badly of it, because that's far from the truth. More so, there's just one specific thing that I've sort of worked into my routine, so to speak, right? You've got videos that I really like, but it would just be so much more handy for me to just specifically subscribe to that playlist. And like I said, you can still recommend their other stuff through like the sidebar, you know, work in one of their other videos, be like, oh, you like this from this creator. Here's something else. What do you think about this? This is pretty good. I don't know. It's just something that I've always for years wanted. And I think I've even brought it up before, either on Twitter or other videos and stuff like that, right? I've always wanted to be able to subscribe to individual playlists. And of course, it probably wouldn't look as good if people were just subscribing to playlists left and right, from a marketing standpoint. Like, for example, if I'm running a channel, I'm trying to get a sponsor, right? As poor of a metric as I personally think subscriber count is, corporate entities and sponsors and whatnot, if you are the type of channel that regularly relies on sponsors, which I think we'll talk about that in the future, sort of the ways in which you can financially succeed on YouTube, because there's a few routes in which you can go, and one of them is sponsorships. Your subscriber count does matter, right? Or for instance, even here, wherein I don't really do that, I don't really run with sponsors or anything because, you know, the style of videos don't really make sense for it. If anything, in real life videos maybe make the most sense of anything on the channel, right? I couldn't imagine like an individual episode of a Let's Play or whatever, getting a sponsorship, but like in real life video, I can see that. I'd be open to that, I think, right? I mean, it depends on the sponsorship, and it's neither here nor there, but, right, those entities will look at your overall subscriber count, and perhaps having a bunch of people following you on a playlist or whatever could interfere with that, right? You would see more people just subscribe to an individual playlist rather than your channel overall. You know, I don't know. And like I said, maybe there's something on the back end. There's like a back end coding reason as to why this would not be doable. But just speaking as a viewer, right? As someone who uses the platform as a viewer myself, it's something that I would absolutely love, right? I would 100% make use of it. Regardless, I think that's all my thoughts on that. Nobody really asked, but it's something that I always wanted to talk about. Right? Such is the case with in real life videos. It's just me wanting to talk about something. And this is no different. Also, today, Valentine's Day is coming up. It is tomorrow. Whether or not you are like partaking in it, I wanted to kind of get like a Valentine's sort of pink situation going on, but I realized I don't have a really good pink shirt that I can make use of. Probably something that I ought to try and look into, right? I want a nice, like this is not quite doing it for me as far as like the Valentine's vibes, you know? Not quite. I don't know. It's a good outfit, I think, but not quite like a Valentine-y pink, right? Probably just want like a solid or striped pink shirt. Something to be on the lookout for, to save up for, or whatever. All right. That ought to do it for now for this in real life video. Maybe when next we come back, we'll do a viewer submitted one. I'm not sure. Who can say? Maybe we'll do an interstitial one as well, because there's supposed to be that big Microsoft sort of update, which, sure, I can have some takes about that. No problem. I can waffle on about that, right? Me running my mouth, easy, you know? It's a skill I've very well easily developed, right? I can just talk about anything forever. All right. Until next time, please take care of each other.